Hey guys, it's Catfish here again, and this is why the SKS is better than the SLR in every practical way as of update 2.9, December 2023. So let's start off with the recoil. Traditionally, the SLR has been associated with better horizontal recoil, while the SKS boasts superior vertical recoil. So let's put that to the test. Is that still true now? Firing the SLR vertically at around 20 meters, we observed that about 12 rounds hit from bottom to top. In comparison, when you shoot the SKS yields 18 rounds from the bottom to the top, which is a 50% improvement in vertical recoil. So it's confirmed that the SKS has 50% better vertical recoil than the SLR, but we already knew that. So does the SLR have better horizontal recoil? Unfortunately for the SLR, it now has significantly worse horizontal recoil than the SKS, on top of also having worse vertical recoil. When firing slowly, you can see that the SLR tends to jerk to the left and right more, while the SKS, although still also showing some horizontal recoil, is not as dramatic. This is a huge concern for SLR users because it means that it is much more difficult to pull off follow-up shots. Like when you fire your first round and you score a headshot and you would like to score that second headshot to knock the enemy player, the SLR jerking to the side makes it a lot harder to hit that second shot. Whereas if you notice with the SKS, it's much easier due to the better horizontal and vertical recoil. The other thing that I found interesting is that the recovery speed of the SKS when scoped in ADS is so much better than the SLR. After firing a round, you can see that the reticle returns to its original position much faster on SKS compared to SLR. Okay, so the SKS is more accurate than the SLR in both horizontal recoil and vertical recoil and recovery. Let's now talk about hipfire accuracy. A simple running test between the SLR and the SKS reveals that the SLR has a larger reticle bloom, which means that the SLR has a worse hipfire than the SKS. This is even before we take into account that the SKS can equip a laser sight attachment. And when you compare the hipfire after equipping the laser sight on the SKS, the difference is now night and day. There is a clear difference between the two rifles. This means that especially since SKS is one of the fastest killing weapons in the game right now, assuming you can tap fast enough, you can actually consider using the SKS as a close-ranged weapon. After all, it only takes 2 shots to kill. Okay, so both in ADS and hip firing, the SKS is better than the SLR in every way. So is there any reason to choose the SLR over the SKS? Maybe the SLR deals more damage or kills faster than the SKS, so there is a reason for the SLR being so inaccurate. Well, this was true in the past. Back then, the SKS only dealt 53 damage, while the SLR deals 58. But now with the recent buffs, that's not the case anymore. SKS now deals 57 damage, 1 less than SLR. That 1 HP difference is practically non-existent in the large majority of cases. I will say though, in the SLR's defense, that the SLR does deal more headshot damage than the SKS, but again, it's not enough to change the number of shots it takes to kill an enemy. Both weapons require the same amount of shots in almost every conceivable combination, whether it's 1 headshot followed by a shot to the leg, or 1 body shot followed by 2 shots to the hands. Both weapons require the same number of shots to kill. Okay, so both weapons now deal around the same damage, so what about rate of fire? There were rumors that the SKS or the SLR has a speed tapping limit. Unfortunately, this is all just a rumor. As of update 2.9, the speed tap limit for both weapons and, well, as for all DMRs, are now set to 10 taps per second. As you can see, firing both guns as fast as you can, both the SLR and SKS can empty a 20-round magazine in 2 seconds flat. So if you can't tap one weapon faster over the other, it's purely because of your own personal bias and feelings. Speaking of firing fast, what about reloading fast? Unfortunately for the SLR, the SKS has its reload speed buffed recently to 1.9 seconds tactical reload and 2.0 seconds empty magazine reload, also known as full reload. SLR, on the other hand, also has a 1.9 seconds tactical reload, but a clumsy 2.5 seconds empty magazine reload. This means that SKS actually now reloads faster than SLR. Alright, finally, what about bullet speed? Surely there's one good thing we can say about the SLR but not the SKS. Well, shooting something 300 meters away and slowing down the footage by 0.125x speed shows both the SLR and the SKS bullet arriving in 2.78 seconds, meaning both rifles are now adjusted to have the same exact muzzle velocity. Both rifles have around 870 meters per second muzzle velocity now. So there you have it. SKS has better recoil, better recovery, better hipfire, and better reload speed than the SLR. Both weapons have the same firing rate and muzzle velocity, and the SLR has 1 extra damage than the SKS and 7 more headshot damage. This means, basically, SKS is better than the SLR in every practical way. And that's a good thing too, because the SKS spawns a lot more in classics anyways compared to the SLR. In conclusion, when it comes to choosing between the SKS and the SLR, it's crucial to rely on data and facts rather than rumors and feelings. Our thorough comparison reveals that the SKS outshines the SLR in various aspects, providing a more accurate and informed perspective for your weapon selection in the battleground. Remember, let science guide your choices for your battlefield advantage. Stay tuned for more insights, and until next time, game wisely.